What's going on, guys? It's Ricardo Edwards from Unrestricted, and I just want to lightly touch on not necessarily the Kidavelly and ambush situation, but just more about the thought process and the mindset behind it. Now, the thing is, growing up in, I can only really speak for London, that's where I grew up. Growing up in London, I think one of the biggest fears is embarrassment, and the stuff that Kidavelly said about ambush. If ambush would have seen, well, ambush did see him in real life, do you know what I mean? If they would have met up in public and ambush not do nothing, right? Kidavelly would have come and said, yeah, I said all this about him and he didn't do nothing. So because of peer pressure, ambush had to do something. He had to make a statement, you know what I mean? Because if he didn't, he couldn't face the embarrassment of, oh, you let a man talk about you like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like that embarrassment, the fact that we're trying to run away from embarrassment is damn near childish. Because, you know, if we have that embarrassment complex, you know, embarrassment is what the potential embarrassment, okay? The embarrassment that might never even happen, but the potential of being embarrassed, okay, is what stops a lot of people trying to achieve things, trying to be great, trying to dare to be great. Do you know what I mean? Like, example, boxers. There's a lot of boxers that you will never see box, but they, you know, if done properly and gone through the channels, they are naturally gifted and talented. But the fear of losing, or the fear of getting knocked out, suppresses them, stops them, holds them back, and is a barrier to them. And it's just because of the fear of being embarrassed, or the fear of embarrassment. And there has to become a time where we're like, we don't give a shit what people think. Like, even, you know, the first time I dropped on YouTube, and it took me a week. I made a video 10 years ago or so, and it took me a week to even drop it, because of the simple fact I was thinking, what are people going to think? And this is different, this is new, and people are going to think this and people are going to think that. Now it's kind of normal, everyone's got a YouTube channel. But, you know, 10 years ago, a bit longer, it was a bit strange for your peers to see that you got a YouTube channel. It's like, what are you going to talk about? Do you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? But to be fair though, yeah, ambush, he wrote checks with his mouth that just couldn't clear. And Kidavelly, he said some stuff that didn't need to be said, you know what I mean? And, you know, I just hope that, you know, he learned his lesson, because what he was trying to do, and this is another thing what people from that London, I'm not going to say a colour, I'm going to say just that London culture, like the London mindset, okay? Because at the end of the day, like, where I come from in London, it's not just a black place, it's multicultural, you know what I mean? It might be immigrant heavy, you know, the demographic of where I come from might be a lot of, you know, people that's there via immigration, regardless of the generation, because I'm like second and third generation immigrant, you know what I mean? Or first and second, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm in the UK via immigration, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that London thing, they tried to tear down someone's house to build theirs. So he was saying stuff about Kidavelly to promote himself, saying negative stuff, bad stuff, to give him the attention that he needs, you know, to grow his platform. You know, to have people conscious of who he is through saying, you know, bad stuff about Kidavelly. Kidavelly was saying bad stuff about ambush, you know what I mean? Which is true or may not be true, but at the same time, it just didn't need to be said by him on that platform in that way. And then he's challenging him to a rap battle. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, why would we do that? Do you know what I mean? Why, you know what I mean? Like, what did he think? Like, did he think he could say those things and then after a while be amicable to put on something to help both of them generate money? It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just about really the mindset from my perspective. One is like crabs in a barrel, or tearing down someone's house to build their own house. And then the other one is just that fear of being embarrassed, you know. That's what it is. It's that ego, that fear of being embarrassed, that pride, you know. And there has to come a time where we just don't value those things. It has to, you know, because at the end of the day, like let's say if Ambush, you know, allegedly, was for what Ambush allegedly did, okay, if he gets locked up for it, you know, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Okay, people are talking about you. Was it worth it? But the problem is that because of, you know, the circles he's in, his line of work, it's heavily structured around image. And if his image is tarnished in any way, it could impact the perception, and then the impact of perception could impact, you know, his finances. Unfortunately, unfortunately, you know, that's sad. So, you know, this is them forever. This is them forever. You know, and especially when you're in them environments, if you don't change your environment, you're just gonna think the same. It doesn't matter how you elevate. Like if you're continuously around the same people that think like that, it's gonna be hard because you're bombarded by that particular thought process, that particular mindset. You're just bombarded by it. Like, you know, and the mind works off repetition. So it doesn't matter how much you think how you want to think, or you're trying to progress how you want to progress. You know, you're constantly in a battle. You're constantly in a battle, you know, so, you know, environments do play a real heavy part. You know, since I've been in Saudi, my paradigms has completely shifted. Now, don't get me wrong, like, there are times where sometimes that London energy comes back and that, but I notice it, I identify it, and it's definitely not the same. You know, it's definitely not the same, but it's still very much there. But it will be way, way more amplified if I was in the same environment. You know, coming off subject a little bit. So I've been living in Saudi Arabia for like just over 2 years now, and I promise you, the safety element is ridiculous over here. It's so safe over here. So because it's safe, you feel more relaxed. And whenever I go home to the UK, and I jump on, you know, get on my plane, and then from wherever airport I land, I normally head towards Victoria or whatever. Now the second I start to get closer to London, I can feel my energy start to change and my physiology start to change, and it's like I start to, like, my defenses start to trigger, and I'm like, okay. And then there's people looking at you, and you're like, okay, like, it's a little bit different. Like your defenses is up now, and it's like you're preparing yourself for the worst. And it's like in Saudi Arabia, you never have to think like that, like ever. I'm relaxed here, you know what I mean? And it's just London. I'm not saying London's a bad place. Like, if people are gonna go there on a holiday, you just won't notice it. You won't notice, you know, certain things. You know, you're in a cloud. But when you live there, when you're from there, and you talk to the people there, you know, you can kind of feel certain things. But yeah, I don't know, man. This crabs in a barrel mindset, you know. And there's this girl, what's it? Elaine the Pain as well. She was talking about, you know, banning or boycotting South Asian shops. Boycotting, the black community should boycott South Asian shops. And it's like, black people are not in a position to boycott anything. Do you know what I mean? We own nothing. You know, Well, tell me if I'm wrong. Please tell me a black-owned factory, a black-owned manufacturer that can give us any product that we don't have to go to anyone else, please. And I don't really do really race, religion, or politics here, but it's just an interesting topic since we're, you know, on this topic of like mindset, because it's easy to say let's all do something, but then, you know, black people, we don't really unite for nothing, you know. Or we might unite for a day because it sounds cool and we're out there and we're going to turn it into one big party, you know what I mean? Like, let's bring the sound system, let's bring the jerk chicken and the barbecue drums, and like make some jerk chicken out there. But then it's like, this thing needs to be consistent. If we're really going to stand together and really going to make a dent and come together as a community, this needs to be consistent, you know. It needs to be planned and structured. And the problem is, we can plan but we have no structure. We can have all the good ideas but we have no structure, and then there's always going to be that one person that, I want to be that one, I want to be the popular one, I want to be the famous one, I want to be, you know, the Ian Wright of it, I want to be the Ian Wright, I want to be the face, I want to be the one that's holding the money, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, they don't understand like a system. The whole point of it being a system is that, like, example, yeah, we have, you know, the body is a system, right? Now, the heart can't do what the brain does, the brain can't do what the heart does, but both of those jobs are important. Do you understand? But then there's other stuff. Then there's lungs, and then there's liver, and then there's kidney. All of these things are important, but everyone wants to be the popular ones, like the heart and the brain, you know. And it's like, guys, not everybody's got the skills, not everyone's got the ability, not everybody's got the understanding, not everybody's, you know, they got the attributes to be a successful this or that was needed. But because that's the more popular role, yeah, they just want to sit in the seat. You know the bad thing about it, they don't, a lot of the people from our community, they don't actually want to do the work, they just want to sit in the seat. They don't even want to do the work. They just want to sit in the seat and look important. They want the adulation, you know. They want the praise, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. Not all, you know what I mean? Not all, but yeah, man. And then also, when we start to get somewhere, there's always going to be haters. Oh my gosh, there's always going to be haters that's going to try drag it down. Or let's say it didn't start off a hater. Let's just say someone said they can do something, it turns out that they couldn't do something, and then they had to, you know, get taken off the project and come removed, okay? Now that person is gonna be, you see what they did to me, you see this, you see that, then they're gonna start to try to tear it down from the inside, you know. And it's like, this is why up till now, it's very rare that, especially in, like, tell me where, it's very rare that places, out of places which is predominantly a race, black race, this is where we don't really have anything, you know. This is where we don't really have anything. Like, we have a whole heap of Caribbean Africa, we got a whole heap of food shops, black food shops, and I don't know what else we got, you know. I have no idea what else we got, because also we don't support ourselves. We don't support each other, sorry. We don't support each other. Other communities will support each other. We would rather go to the next door neighbor than go to our brother, you know. And it's quite sad, to be fair. So Elaine the Pain, I understand why she's saying it, but at the same time, like, I'm sorry, I don't even want to sound negative, but I just don't think it will work in London or in the UK. You know, I just don't think it will work, you know. Anyway, leave a comment down below on anything I said. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Share this with your auntie's friend who's related to your best friend's cousin. All right, take care.